Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a tactics talk, and today we're going to talk about positioning again, and the concept here is knowing where to go. We're here on Himmel's Parisdorf. Take a look at the setup here. Tier 7 and Tier 6, I'm top tier, that's great. Top tier heavy on Paris, that's also nice. But if you look at my team, we've got a top tier heavy and then two mediums, a 34-1 and a T43. And if we look over at the other side, they have an ONI 4503 and then an E25, so no medium. Kind of interesting setup right there. But they've got the two heavies, the ONI and the 4503. If you know anything about this map and the brawl down in the south where the heavies are, you can automatically look at that and go, ooh, it looks like the other team's got a pretty big advantage right there. They also have an ARL, a KV2. We do have an OI and an HT number 6 and a Churchill. Very interesting. Then there's assorted cats and dogs. So one of the things you want to do when you're new to this game, or even if you're at the medium kind of skill level, is have a good understanding of where the standard positions are generally for the different classes, whether you're heavy, a TD, a medium, or a light tank, or a SPG. But SPG is a little easier because it's more or less in the back. You've also got to start to get an understanding and a feel for which tanks will play more like another tank potentially on that particular map. I.e., you've got a heavily armored TD that can play more like a heavy. Or you have a heavy medium that can do some heavy things. That kind of stuff. Or you've got a glass TD and you don't want that anywhere near the heavy brawling zone. That kind of stuff. The next thing you need to pay attention to is the actual setup of the match. So it's one thing to go, all right, Paris, heavies, south, mediums, north, light, screw around in the middle, TDs backing everybody up. Got it. Okay, great. That's a good plan initially, good generalized idea of the Paris map. But when you load in and look at their team and your team, what do you do? Because sometimes you're forced into making a decision that's not the decision you would necessarily want to make just based on setup and tiering. So if we look at this, one heavy versus their two heavies, that's kind of problematic. And what I like about what happened here is the 34-1 comes with me. 34-1 looks at it. Now, I don't know if maybe he just takes his mediums to the brawl every time. It's not unusual to see mediums down here backing up the heavies. But for whatever reason, he decided to come. And initially, as I'm looking at it, I'm like, great, that's good. I'm going to need this guy. Right? He's going off this way. I've also got the OI, good. I'm going to need him. The Churchill is very slowly moving this way, good. Not so happy to see the HT number 6 going out into the field, if I'm honest right there. But we're going to work with what we can. All right, so I'm looking at this, and in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, we need to slow them down here. And if we can maul them or even win through a battle of attrition, then I'll take it. So I'm going to be careful. I'm going to try to not get nuked too much by the two heavies. And if I have to fall back, I'll do it early vice late. So I'm in a very defensive crouch coming in here, but I'm glad that the 34-1 made this decision because he's top tier, and that makes me feel a little bit better about what's going on here, although I'm not getting quite as much help as I would like if I'd have got the HT number 6. So then, okay, that's all great from your side. Now, looking at their side, my expectation is to see the ONI and the 4503 and the ARL and the KV2. And maybe a couple other cats and dogs in there. I fully expect to see all of those tanks. Now let's see what happens with this. So as I said, it's one thing to know where you go in general. It's another thing to look at the map and the match and to make a good decision. And the other team has to make their decision. Remember, the enemy gets a vote. So it's, my assumption is the 4503 and the ONI will show up, but they get a vote. Come in here. All right, ARL lets me take a shot. Good. Great. I'll take a trade where I don't lose anything. KV2, that's a problem. You're a problem. You know, he's going to shave off HE hits on me. If he somehow gets a pen, I'm hurting. 34-1 goes in there. He puts a shot on them. I like that, man. I like it. He's got a nice little turret. It's not amazing, but good. He's actually nice and low slung. He can use this corner. I don't know if you know this, but that little corner can shoot people, and they can't shoot back, really. It's kind of a bit of a pain in the rear, based on where the ARL and the KV2 are. So I've got to time my pokes on the KV2 to get shots. Be careful about it, but I've got that nice fast reload, so I can probably get 2 or 3 shots before he can reload. Also, where's the ONI and the 4503? Surely they're going to show up. Quit calling me Shirley. All right, being careful. I'm watching what's going on in the north. We really should have an overmatch in the north. Churchill's sort of stopped. I'm not really sure what's going on there. He must be having his tea. Perhaps the whistle went off and he had to go ahead and make it. All right, I'll take that. The KV-2 fired AP. I'm going to take this opportunity to maybe finish off the ARL because I know the KV-2 won't get a reload. And it's about, not quite yet, but about here that I realized something that I hadn't realized. Look at the little gun on the KV-2. He's actually got the 107. Okay, there's another piece of the pie, another bit of information I can use based on my positioning and what's going on. It's no longer a derp gun. So my pokes timing can be a little different, and I'm not as afraid potentially of losing a big derp shot, although the 107 hits pretty hard and it's got good pen. So we'll hang out here. The OI, the 01, the O-I-01. All right, good. He's kind of keeping the KV-2 busy, and then he makes a move. And this is going to allow, because that dude's going to pay attention to the OI, and that's going to give me some opportunities to come in here and get shots. He's really hurting right there. He's trying to hide behind the aerial. Now he's looking at me. Nope, not going to let you have that shot, not easily anyway. If you want to rock back and forth, that's fine. Oh, look at this. Now he's worried about something behind him. Notice that our team is grabbing up real estate. And the world wonders, where is the Oni and the 4503? What on earth? And this is about the time I'm looking at this going, this is very strange. Are they behind the KV-2 waiting for us to come up and over? I don't know, because now our guys are sort of closing in, and it seems like maybe they'd have seen them moving around a little bit. Let's see what happens. Putting shots on this guy. We're going to finish off. The KV-2 gets in a complete crossfire. We finish him, and now we push in. We've got a great advantage built. Still, though, there's an Oni and a 4502, ostensibly not at full hit points, not hurt at all. The 34-1's already moving in, cruising on in there. The E25's moving across there. He's dangerous. We don't want him to get too many shots on us. Although he's down to 13 hit points. And lo and behold, where do we find the 4503 and the Oni? There's the Oni and the 4503. They're both new players. They're not particularly good, but they don't have a whole lot of battles in the game. They're still trying to learn where do you go and why. Well, they chose very poorly for their team. They needed to be down in the heavy brawl. They would have had a huge advantage down there with the VK and the Oni together, and the KV-2 and the ARL. That would have been a tough fight for us to win down there. They took themselves out of the battle completely. They hung out near the cap right there. I think the 4503 just camped. The Oni might have been going around trying to do something. Which brings me to asymmetric stuff. Okay, maybe the VK and the Oni go, hey, let's push the field. Looking at this setup and what they've got, I bet that FV goes down south and probably some other of their heavies might be down there, maybe even some of their mediums. I feel like we can just rush through their north area and just crush everything in sight. And that's true. That's the asymmetric piece. That's the part where, and we show videos with that as well on the channel, where you do something a little bit different. But the problem with that in a pub match, especially solo, is it's hard to get other people to do that. It's a little easier with a platoon. Say those two guys are platoon, that would be much easier. So it's hard to get people to follow up. That's a low percentage play. Their high percentage play, the purple teams, was to go south. So we had both teams and players and teams making interesting decisions that greatly affected how this match ended up. I went down where the heavy brawl was. Well, I liked the 34-1 coming with me. He came with me because he was top tier, right? Makes great decisions. Their team have choices to make. Their team didn't know where they needed to be. The 4503 and the Oni. And they hung out there. And they're just getting absolutely schwammered. Not enough to kill. That's a bummer. Snuck. Oh, no, didn't get it. And now it's just clean up on aisle 2. We're absolutely massacring these guys. I'll just come around this corner. The Oni isn't hurting. This guy's sitting here. We're schwacking him. I don't even know. Is he AFK? Maybe he is. Nope, he's moving his turret. Who knows? Could be a bot. Not a great player, so didn't really know where to be. New player. Nothing wrong with not being great. If you're new, you're probably not great anyway because you're new. But that's why we're talking about it. So one of the big things then to learn in this game is initial positioning, the whys and the wherefores. Unfortunately, armor not hit right there. I'm going to let him go because here's where the hit points are. I wanted to track him. I light him on fire. That'll work. Try to track him here. Nope, not quite. He's still burning, and down he goes. Now we've got a couple artillery up to 2,469 damage, 550 assist. We've got 3 kills, and it's just an absolute romple stomp. And honestly, positioning by your top tiers can make or break your team. Absolutely make or break your team. We'll try to get one more shot on this guy. There we go. A little bit more damage. So, while you're learning the game, make sure you're learning where the good initial positions are. If you make a decision to not go to those positions, make sure it's for a good reason. In the case of my 34-1, he didn't go where mediums usually go. Often they'll go down south, but more likely you're going to see them up in the north, especially with the number of heavies that were in this battle. But I like to think that he looked at it and went, well, I'm top tier. It sucks. We only have one top tier heavy. I'm going to have to go down there and see what I can do to help them. Turns out their heavies made terrible decisions, went to bad positions up there in the north, and were able to absolutely massacre the south. The north held on because those 2 heavies didn't do anything with their overmatch up there. And next thing you know, they're completely surrounded. They have no map control, and the game is over. So, again, nothing really against the 2 new guys who went to bad positions. They're trying to learn the game. That's why we do videos like this, to kind of give you an idea of why it is that you want to take your tank, your top tier tank, to the appropriate positions. You can try to play the low percentage play all the time if you'd like, but it's going to affect you negatively. You need to go with generally the high percentage play, and then have a good reason to go for the high risk, high reward type play at other times, right? For this one, this was not the time. It was an obvious advantage for the enemy team to send them both south and just massacre what we had down there. And then they didn't do it. All right, let me know what you think down below about positioning, initial positions, why you do or don't go to places. That's all I've got, and we will see you.